It's like having a second day job. Get home from the office at 5 PM and commit another 5 or 6 hours to working on the channel. That's when my real job begins.
Who doesn't love a scary story? I mean, whether you're a skeptic or a believer, I don't really think I know anyone who doesn't enjoy being creeped out every now and then.
It started out as a bit of fun, really. Just wanted to write things for friends and family to read. Didn't really intend to publicise anything, but they kind of urged me to do something more with it.
I remember getting scared sat around the campfire as a kid listening to scary stories, and later watching X-Files I realised that some spooky mysteries could be left unsolved, and reading Rich's early stuff made me realise that it gave me the same sort of chills.
I think the initial idea was to create a website and for each article to have its own unique sort of banner image. But when Mikey started sending back the sample artwork for the project, I thought we could do something more unique with it, and it kind of went from there, really.
The idea of using Mikey's artwork all the way through the video was the real clincher for me. There are plenty of other channels out there which use Google Images and that sort of thing all the way through. They do it well, but it was important for us to set ourselves apart from the others from the outset. And I really feel like Mikey's imagery allows us to do that. It gives the videos a storybook sort of feel.
So Bedtime Stories is essentially a four-man team. We've got myself and Dwayne as writers. I obviously narrate. Other than that, we've got Mikey, who does the artwork and does a fantastic job. And then we've got Otavio as well, who heads up the Portuguese language version of the channel.
I started out with Bedtime Stories as an editor, originally just tweaking and proofreading Rich's work. But with everything that goes into putting together an episode, an immense amount of research, that sort of thing, we soon realised there was probably too much work for one person. So I was taken on as a second writer.
So each episode takes around 2 to 3 weeks to write and research. And quite often me and Dwayne will be in the same room, laptops in hand, cups of coffee, just bouncing ideas back and forth. And we try and fit that in around family life and our day jobs. And game time.
Once an episode's written, we'll usually sit down and start concepting the artwork. Sometimes we'll use existing images, but more often than not they're completely original. We'll mock up the concepts and send them across to Mikey, but probably my favourite part of the process is actually seeing what comes back.
In the meantime, I'll record the narration, which can be very infuriating. But once all the artwork's done and the voiceover's recorded, it's just a matter of knitting it all together, getting the closed captions in, and then comes the music selection. And for that we use copyright-free channels such as CO.AG and Kevin MACLEOD, very talented guys. And yeah, just seeing it all come together at the end is the best part for me, really, because we're kind of preserving these stories, and that's what really matters.
And then it's on to the next episode. We plan our seasons out in advance, meaning that we know what we're doing from one week to the next, and it's just a case of pulling together all the interesting information, turning them into bedtime stories.
Whilst a lot of research does go into every single episode, and we try to be as factually accurate as possible, we're not exactly making a documentary series here. Our primary objective is first and foremost to entertain the viewer and maybe ask a few pointed questions to get them thinking. But beyond that, we have no qualms whatsoever about doing urban legends or creepypasta stories. To be honest with you, you'll probably find in urban legends and creepypastas there's an element of truth that sits behind it anyway.
Most of the stuff we cover is based upon recorded events, often includes multiple eyewitness testimonies. So it's ultimately up to the viewer whether they believe it or not. We're just here to tell stories.
That's a tough one. I really like the Dyatlov Pass, but that's only because of the amount of work that went into it. But I'd say Flannan Isles has a special place in my heart because I've always loved that mystery, and it was the the episode that launched the channel.
And my favourite's probably James Dean's Little Bastard. I didn't know a lot about James Dean before I started working on the episode, and certainly nothing about his cursed car. So that was really interesting finding that out, putting the episode together. That said, I really enjoy watching the Flannel Isle still now. I remember receiving the first draft from Rich and seeing it all come together, the transition from first draft through to the launch, and seeing the videos. It's been great.
Dyatlov Pass, definitely. I wrote 11 pages on that, and I could have included so much more. Hell of a lot of research went into it, and the voice recording was very, very hard, just because of the sheer amount of content there.
The most challenging episode for me was definitely Hinterkaifeck Feck. It was a very dark, real-life mystery, and that pushed my boundaries to have to write about that. Secondly, the source material was all in German, so I had to use my very rusty skills from school to put the episode together.
That depends on the nature of the case, to be honest. There's some things that we write about and I think, oh, this can't be true. And other things, I'm open-minded about, so I'd say that I'm open-minded, probably erring on the side of skepticism on some things.
I'm not quite sure there's anything such as a total skeptic or complete believer. I like to believe that anything is possible, but then again, if I was to pigeonhole myself, I'd probably say I was more of a skeptic because I like to get to the facts.
One or two. I used to live in a house that was supposedly haunted. We had bumps and bangs in the middle of the night, doors slamming, things flying off shelves. It was pretty weird and certainly not something I could explain anyway.
I remember when I was probably about 7-8 years old, I visited my auntie's house, and we went into the back garden and we saw what we were convinced was a UFO at that time. Can't say for sure it was alien type, but it was, to us, it was that round disc shaped UFO, and as kids we absolutely believed it was a UFO. Aside from that, I know many friends and family who claim to have seen ghosts, but not experienced anything personally.
We've got season 3 coming up, where we're going to start accepting subscriber stories, and we've had some very good submissions already, so I'm very excited about that. We have also got a Kindle book coming out towards the end of the year, or maybe sometime in the new year, not quite sure yet. Other than that, we've got the Portuguese language version of the channel, which will be launching very soon, so watch this space.
We'll shortly be launching the Bedtime Stories website, and alongside that we're going to be launching a range of merchandise, mugs, t-shirts, that sort of thing. So yeah, exciting times for us.
I'm currently working on an episode regarding the Missing 411, which is a series of books by David Paulides. And basically it's about people who have gone missing in and around North American national parks, and it's very strange. There's usually no traces of them, so I'm very excited to do that one.
There are plenty more ghosts and mysteries to come in season 3, but I'm working on an episode at the moment on river and sea monsters.
Oh. Joke.
I'm not really very good at jokes.
Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men said, "F*** him, he's only an egg."
Why did the chicken cross the road? to get to the shop. You find that funny? Neither did the chicken. The shop was closed.
What the was that? That was Bedtime.